Anybody have any questions on any of these? Okay. Do you have anything else, Mr. Kittner?
Mayor, I do not at this time.
All right, well, clearly you are the most prolific spender when it comes to capital.
Well, hopefully the town sees the benefit of it, of all the labor.
There's no question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have the tax assessor. Yes.
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 Yes. That will be done in addition to whatever
That'll be done separately.
Because that's going to have an offset library improvement fee that we're going to charge.
And we don't know when exactly we're going to know all of the things, so.
Right.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
We don't know what we don't know.
Now, I have a question, Paul.
Yes.
Do you use my Christmas present to you all the time, or only when you're coming to meetings? when I'm present?
Only
All
when.
right.
Only when. And just for the record, I didn't get one. Tax assessor.
Oh, here they come. There they are.
Okay. Yesterday we received 2 personnel requests from you. This is tab 6. Both of these are merit increases. We don't talk about merit increases publicly, so we'll do that offline. So if you want to give us your highlights for 2017, and then anything in 2018 that you're going to be focused on.
Yeah, okay. I want to start right in the beginning of last year at the County Tax Board. As you know, we did a revaluation last year, and we had about 182 tax appeals. Of the 182, we actually stipulated to 104 reductions for property owners who were, about 90% of that number were estimates. So we basically were lowering those numbers to what they would have been had we had access to those properties to begin with. The other 10% were some reval errors were corrected, and some commercial properties where we did not receive the income and expense statements. So again, it's an estimate. We also had 44 trials, and out of the 44, we lost 9. We thought they were defendable. Tax board commissioners had some other thoughts on that. But out of the 9, the average deduction was $28,000 off the assessment, which related in about $851 tax reduction. Not too substantial. We also had 12 withdrawals, and we had 10 dismissals for no show. They didn't come to the hearing. And 16 other dismissals, mostly tax court pending cases and hearings waived for whatever reason. And just wanted to give you a little history going back to 2011. We had a reval that year. And after the impact of that revaluation in 2012, we had 564 appeals. So we did a reassessment in 13, tightened up the numbers. We had some more sales to look at and tighten up the numbers. And in 13, we dropped to 142 tax appeals, 107 in 14, 106 in 15, 44 in 16, and now we've done a reval for 17, and we had 174 appeals, 182 appeals this year. The trend is that in 18 we could see a substantial increase in those appeals. We don't really know, but it looks like after the first year of a reval, when the impact is, people see the impact on their taxes, we could see more appeals this year than we've been seeing. But in any case, I feel that the numbers are defendable. The sales are still strong, and we're hopeful that we will be able to get through the appeals this year like we did in 17. State tax appeals now. Now, to something that actually makes us a little money. We look at every permit that comes through the building department on a yearly basis. There's thousands of them, but not all permits relate in an increase in the assessment. Back in 2012, we had 348 that year, 13,468. 13,468. In 14, we had 537, 556 in 15, 740 in 16. It just keeps growing every year. And in 17, 932 actually resulted in increases to assessments for whatever they did, additions, improvements to the property. It is the permits that actually generate increases in our tax base for the town. The main goal of any assessor is to keep the tax base up because if it sinks, we already have tax rate increases for the following year before there's even a budget increase. So we want to keep the base at least the same or higher. Over the years, it's just been going up, but in Maplewood, there seems to be, there is a tremendous pride and ownership here, there's no doubt about it. We talk to a lot of people. Most people maintain their properties very nicely, and many people also improve their properties with the latest in kitchens and baths, etc. And it just makes the town more desirable. And I think that shows in the sales that we have every year, which continue to go up also. Actually, just a quick note, back in 11, we had 321 sales for the year, 434 in 12, 498 in 13. In 14, we had 481. In 15, 531. In 16, 604. And we haven't processed all the sales for 17 yet, but we're on point for about 652. That's a tremendous amount of sales, actually, for 1 year, for such a small town. So as you can see, the desirability to live here just continues to increase every year. So with all the building permits that are out there, we were able to actually increase our rateable base through added assessments and changes for this year, 16,862,100. That's a big increase. And of course, that helps to offset any tax appeal losses that we experienced during the year. Now,
Mr. Moore, can you repeat that, the 16 million?
16,862,100. Now, there were increases that we have calculated based on changes we've made to the tax base, but if you look at the rateable base from 1 year to the next, we didn't actually increase that because we had to offset some of the tax appeal losses. I think the tax appeal losses, if you look at the total numbers going out, was somewhere around 7.5 million in assessment, but we're up 16.8, so the base is increasing.
But just to be clear, because I thought I received different information. Are you saying that our rateable base for 2018 is higher than 2017?
I believe so. Our base is, huh?
I think it is.
Yeah, our base this year is $3,842,458,100. Is that not higher? Miscalculation. It is a little lower than it was last year. There were some state appeals in there that we did not factor into this. Actually, that in December, we did settle quite a few cases that have been hanging around for a long time. I think I worked on 12. And I guess, yeah, what else do we have?
So the 16 million increase, that also would account for things like 255 Tuscan Road, the new apartment buildings, or not?
No, that's not on there yet,
So when will that come on?
this year.
So that's gotta end up in an increase in ratables.
That's correct, for the following year.
Oh, well, for this year.
This year.
We will actually do an added assessment on that property.
We'll do an added assessment even though it got a CO in December?
Added assessments are always calculated on the following month after the CO, or after we determine it's completed, so it'll be a 12-month added.
The new construction, the new value, the $16 million and something, that on new construction, that applies to the calculation of the appropriation cap, but doesn't apply to the net assets valuation, which is the figure that we're going to use to calculate the tax rate on the budget. So to the defense of the tax assessor, yes, the sales of properties is going up, but the net assets valuation decreased for the calculation of 2018, which is based on 2017 data.
Right, but I don't get, we just added a huge rateable at 255 Tuscan, and you're saying that it can't be counted into the rateable base until 2019?
That is correct. This number is used for the calculation of.
No, I understand that part, but why can't it be used
This year.
this year?
The net assets valuation is calculated as of the assessment based on October 1st of the prior year.
So that's.
There's a cut-off line.
Also,
Well, I'm sorry, let me just pursue this, but it'll be a added assessment, which means 100% of whatever comes in 2018 stays with the town?
Correct.
except for the county portion.
Yeah, except for the county portion. Okay.
So we actually collect more out of an added assessment than we would in.
No, I understand that, but, okay. Are there any other pieces of property that came on 98 Burnett?
Yeah, that was already on.
I don't know, was that on? That came on after October.
98 Burnett is that one little additional
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
No, we did an added. Yeah, we did an added assessment in 17 on that property for a certain amount of prorated months. I don't remember exactly.
So
how
would
much,
that
but
be-
It's on the books now.
We're not being on the books for 18.
It's on the books for 18, and we collected some in 17.
No, I understand that, okay.
And for 18, I don't really see anything changing. We have many things on the horizon that we're going to be assessing. Apartment-
Yeah, how does Avalon Bay figure into that when they're done? Does that go into our base or?
No.
Because it's a pilot, it's
The
different.
pilot, it goes into our payment, but we can anticipate the pilot payment, can't we?
We're doing that.
Or do we have that?
Yes, we're anticipating that as well.
So you have that as part of our miscellaneous revenue?
Yes.
Because we haven't seen the revenue yet, so.
Yeah,
Oh,
But we have to get their income and expenses.
No, I understand, but, well, yes, but what you do is, they have to estimate for this year, because that we have no history of it. And then there'll have to be a truing up in 2019,
Yes, that is correct.
correct?
Right.
Okay. What was 255 Tuscan assessed at?
hard to remember, right?
You know what, if you can get us that
I
information.
can get back to you.
Yeah, just get us that information, if you can put that down as a question. What was the 255 Tuscan Road apartment building assessed at?
I believe we have 30,000 a unit on the land value times 30 units. That's the number.
9 million.
Very good.
let's give Cal.
900,000.
No, 900,000, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, the first number was better, but
Yeah.
it's
okay,
It's 900,000.
yes.
Right.
Now,
That land value is consistent with other apartments and different things we have throughout the town.
you assessed that at under $1 million?
It's just the land portion.
Oh, what about the improvements? Yeah, you know what, don't guess, don't guess. Get us the number.
I'll get you the number.
Okay. It's got to be millions of dollars, so.
Which one?
Oh, yeah.
255, yeah. Okay, I don't need, don't guess.
They won't
He's playing with his calculator. Okay, what else do you have for us, Mr. Galante?
It's probably going to be somewhere around $6.5 million.
Okay, so it wasn't that far off.
I have nothing else other than the fact that we don't see anything changing anytime soon. And so I'm anticipating that next year's tax appeals could be higher, but I feel confident we can defend them. And with the amount of work that's going on in the town, I anticipate we will have another banner year in the assessment base.
So I do have one more question for you. Winchester Gardens.
Mhm.
90% or more, 95% of the property there is used for residential property, residential, and then stuff related to it, you know, the congregate meeting halls and all that. Now they've built a rehabilitation center.
Mm.
What are we doing to make sure that that is assessed properly? Because that's different, that's an income generating activity.
We actually, the township attorney and myself have discussed having a meeting with them to try to get a handle on the costs there, because that is normally how we value a property like that, is through cost approach and depreciate it for condition. And that has not happened yet.
Cost approach plus the revenue generating?
No, it's one or the other. Most of our commercial properties, we do what is known as an income approach. So we capitalize the net income after expenses, to come up with a value. On special purpose properties like this, we normally do cost approaches, because that's what the courts are telling us through prior cases. We should be doing it that way. So that's the way we're going to handle it. But we want to make sure everybody's on board with the numbers, because we've had tax appeal issues there before, and it gets costly, and we're trying to avoid that.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Capital. We need income.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
about capital?
Mr. Captain.
Capital is, what you have like $7 million worth of stuff. Typically, in the past, I've given you approximately how much we're going to be able to spend based on our taking on only 80% of the debt that we retire. So we're going to retire about $4 million, and we're going to, so that would mean $3.2 million. If we go along with that, we would take on. Since we have like almost 7 or 8 million, I forget exactly what it is. I usually go through it.
Just be clear. We have this thing from 1/31/2018 that has $5.894 million.
All right, so it's 8.5.
No, 5.9.
Yeah, almost $6 million.
Okay, you say 8 million.
Of which about half of it would be, a little over half would be what you would fund. If you want to fund more, that's fine. I don't care. Typically, I would give you a recommendation. And then you go through it, you either accept them, change them, whatever you want to do. And I think that kind of expedites it a little bit. There are some projects that people feel better about than I do, and usually you come back and tell me that. That's the way we
So
look
let
at
me
it.
just ask, are you comfortable with that process, or do you want to do a different process? And the process being that Mr. Manning will come back with a recommendation on which capital grants, which capital approvals to go with.
Next administrator going to do that too?
They should be able to easily, and it would add up to no more than $3.2 million.
Right, and then, then we can discuss it.
Then
from
you
there. But
discuss it.
I would definitely, I think, rather than start from scratch, I'd rather have your seasoned hand over it first.
Because I can see what they've done in terms of productivity before. I can talk to them offline about priorities, et cetera.
Yes, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. All right, so when will you have this done?
When would you like, it can't be this.
No. So I think we want to schedule time on to February 20th.
That's it. That's good. February 20th. And we'll get it, I'll get it to you before then, so you have time to
We'll
review
go
it.
back and forth, and then we'll schedule time at the public meeting to talk about the capital.
And that's what we've done in the past.
And we'll also include the Open Space Trust Fund at that time.
Okay, all right, yes.
Okay? Now, revenues.
Go ahead. Revenues.
Talk about personnel merit.
Well, okay, so if you wanted to, before we go into revenue, typically, you've discussed that in closed session. You've given me an idea about how you feel about each of them, each of the requests. Then you say to me, here is X amount of money, based on what we like and what we don't want, come back with recommendation. That's typically what you've done.
Okay, can we do something, I'm sorry. With personnel, can you split out the new requests from the?
Oh,
The
yeah.
merit.
Definitely.
All right. Let's do that on 220 also.
Okay,
We'll talk about the new requests in open.
right,
We can also talk about the merit increases in closed.
okay. And you'll be saying what you think about it, what you feel about it, et cetera. Okay. Which one will we do first? Will we do the closed before? Because that's sometimes a little more helpful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Revenue.
Revenue.
I'm sorry, I can't find my sheet, so if you could be as explicit as possible.
Well, looks like
Revenue
this.
sheet.
Let me see what it looks like. I never got that, I don't think.
Oh, yeah,
You know what, can you run out and make copies so,
Yes.
because no one has. so.
Maybe somebody who's not.
Because I have nothing. That's
It'll only
tabby.
take them a minute.
Our machine is open.
Tabby tea
My
is
machine
nothing.
is open.
Got nuts, nut and honey.
Right.
So's mine, it's open.
So we'll actually be done.
Let's hope this takes 10 minutes. 7 minutes.
Mayor, on the 20th, it'll be a discussion item or near the top?
One's closed and one's a discussion.
I know the closed.
It'll be, I think we'll make it a separate item on the agenda.
You'll speak.
And we'll list it as a budget discussion, capital and personnel requests. Well, you talking about the merit? Well, that's all right. No, they're gonna make copies. Yeah, we're fine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manning. Richard?
All right.
Okay. Joe's leaving?
No, I'm here till the end of the meeting.
All right, so if everybody is ready, we can go.
Okay, let's go ahead.
The revenues.
Mr. Uribe,
Yes, sir.
you're up.
Yep. The way this goes is the revenues that we portray here are the different revenues that we can collect through different fees. And that the difference between these revenues and the total amount of the budget is what has got to be raised by taxation. And as you may see, the first subtotal, the total anticipated revenues preliminarily is in the amount of $14,266,441 for an increase of $297,000 roughly when compared to 2017. That's an increase in revenues of 2.08%. And the amount to be raised by taxes, which also includes the library, that has an increase of roughly $513,500 for an increase of 1.73%. So that's trending good so far. The total budget equals $44,434,074 for an increase of $810,500, roughly, or 1.86%. The tax rate is trending to be 0.784% for an increase of 1.88% compared to 2017, which was 0.770. That is also trending good. The anticipated or estimated municipal tax for increasing tax dollars for property with the average home value, it's about 1.80% for $67.40. As I indicated before, these numbers are preliminary, and but those are the latest trends that we have. Numbers will be, these figures will be final when the annual financial statement is completed.
If we use the fund balance of $2 million, what's the balance that we leave?
The balance we should have left should be about a little bit about the same amount. I would be surprised if a little bit over than that.
What is that amount?
We may be talking the total fund balance a little over $4 million. If we use two, right, it'll leave us with 2.1 left. Those are the estimates, the preliminary estimates that we have.
$4 million surplus you're talking about?
Fund balance. Last year, compounded with this year, that's what's trending to be.
So not bad.
And you have built in here in the miscellaneous revenue, the amount from Avalon Bay?
Yes.
It's an estimated amount.
That is 99, it's close to $200,000.
But it's estimated.
It's estimated.
Right.
Of course, we're expecting to receive more than that.
Right,
We
but
can
that's
only-
conservative.
Exactly, that's conservative estimate.
I'm sorry.
Conservative estimate for being the first year.
Right.
We're just building history this year.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of drag because there's empty apartments there. So the
That is correct.
way the pilot works there is a cost, so an income. not cost, income. So it works on the income versus their operating expenses, and then there's a net, and then
That is
but
correct.
we actually charge them on their gross amount.
We did bill them at the end of last year, $99,000 or something, but they're contesting that amount.
Yeah, well, we would expect them to do that.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that's actually under review.
Right, okay. So we were talking about 255 Tuscan. So we know if it's, say it's $7 million, you know, he's using that number. So that's times this $3, say $3, it's 200 and,
2 million, one.
no, $210,000 in income, taxes on $7 million.
Well, I am not familiar with the project. I don't know how that's going to be treated. If it is an added and omitted assessment,
No, I understand that. But I guess I'm wondering if there's no way we can anticipate that as revenue for this year.
if we have an estimated day when the CCO will be issued, yes.
It's already done. People are living there.
Oh, it's already done. So yes, we can anticipate it. I will just have to,
It's not a pilot. It's a straight tax. They're paying tax.
then we cannot do that because that has to be factored in the
Into
added
the
and
regular
omitted
base.
assessment at the end of the year.
All right. So that just becomes money that doesn't get accounted for in
That is
2018.
correct. We cannot anticipate in this revenue because it is calculated as of October the 1st when the assessors do his job.
And the added, the money that we talked about this morning, or this afternoon with Mr. Fishman from the Woodland Rentals, is that also anticipated in here in
Yes, it's
miscellaneous revenue?
anticipated.
So you've increased that?
That is correct. We anticipated approximately 99.5% of what was
Okay.
realized last year, which as far as I remember was around $145,000.
Right, okay.
That's all in the miscellaneous?
Yes, there's another sheet that you should have which provide a breakdown of all of those anticipated revenues.
Which you don't have right now, do you?
I thought they had it.
Right, we don't have that. But just, it's, for purposes of the state, it's called miscellaneous, but those are all of our fees.
All of
So
the
those
fees,
are
exactly.
like jitney fees, rec fees.
That is correct.
Construction official fees,
That's correct.
court fees, that all becomes miscellaneous revenue. For some reason, that's what they call it.
That's how they call it.
Parking lot, all that, all those are fees. That's where that comes out of. So you have your four categories: your fund balance, your fees, state aid, and then delinquent taxes.
Correct.
Right.
Now, that number, delinquent taxes, sometimes that fluctuates by when they do the audit. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's one of the last numbers that we calculate, just like the fund balance, because there are tons of calculation related to it. Until we finish with all of the other ones, we cannot come up with a carved number, which is
Right.
what we try to have here.
But last year it was higher.
Was higher.
Why do you think it's going to be lower?
There's this correlation between collection and delinquency. The higher your collection, the lower your delinquency. So we expect the lower amount of delinquency.
Will the prepayments of 2018 taxes affect this at all?
They do not.
They did, because that was segregated out.
That's applied to 2018, cannot be anticipated.
Do you have a sense of how much we collected in 2018 payments in 2017?
Approximately $11.4 million.
Oh, wow.
So we invested that.
And of
And
those,
then
yes,
that
yes.
becomes miscellaneous income.
That's what triggered our conversations with the bank for the third time during the year, because they have more cash. So we needed to get more revenues for that cash which is allocated.
Right, okay.
And yes, we're getting a good.
Now, on the expense side, this doesn't include anything that we might adjust, because there was some, if it was on one of these sheets, one of the line items, is it included in here?
I didn't understand the question, Idar.
If the expense on the line items, you know how the line items, one went up 5,000?
An offsetting appropriation?
No, are they included in the municipal purpose, in the amount?
Oh, yes, they are.
They're all,
Yes, they
Well,
are.
I don't know if when you generated the number, when did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
you do it?
it's off in the line item sheets.
that was on January the 22nd.
Okay.
So there, I'm not sure. All right, okay, so probably not, but there is some changes to be made.
Okay, and then there's nothing, none of the new personnel requests are in here.
No, they're not, because
That's
it's a
being
separate line
decided.
item. That's the added, we call it the added adjustment, and that's just
Salary.
provided after.
Okay. And
It does, there is $50,000 in it.
Right. For the capital, you're using the capital improvement fund number based on
Yes.
$3.2 million?
Right.
So if we increase that 3.2, we have to increase the capital improvement fund.
No, not
Not-
on 3.2, I'm giving it on the entire.
Not necessarily, because we have some fund balance within the general capital fund. Now, still, I don't have the specific figure, but I assume it is around $400,000. Still, some of that amount can be anticipated as revenue, as unanticipated revenue, in the revenue side, which we typically do.
Yeah, we have to cancel those appropriations though.
And we want to
Okay.
cancel the lowest possible balance.
Yeah, but we don't necessarily have to do that, because it looks like our financial situation.
Seems like
Right,
we're
good.
not going to need to.
So that number, well, first of all, that number is in the budget for capital down payment is based on $5,894,000.
Correct.
So if you bring it down, that number's going down.
That is correct.
And then we, if there is in the budget capital, extra in the capital, that may be nothing in the budget, although I don't think that that's a good idea to do, because then next year when you have to plug it in, it goes up automatically.
Correct.
Right. But there's, we don't have to raise taxes by 500,000 though.
You don't, but it's probably prudent, considering that the economy is doing so well, considering that there's been a big tax break or a big,
Tax deduction.
tax deduction and.
Well, that'll all be factored in.
Yeah.
We figure it. Okay. Anybody have any questions? So we're waiting for our auditors to finish the
Annual
financial, which is, they finished what, on the 31st of January, they
Well,
finished
they're
it?
supposed to.
Are they close?
No,
No.
That's, I may say at the end of this month, because actually we're going through,
Well, that is January.
through changes.
No, we're in February.
February. We're going through changes with the state because of the new system. Now we have to report online. Do all of the report online, all of that information has to be typed in, so we're working on the templates and all of those things.
So if we're scheduling February 20th to have a conversation about capital, personnel and all that, that fits in with that timeline, because shortly after that, we'll know the revenue.
That is
So by
correct.
early March, we'll be able to
Oh, yes, by early March we'll be ready.
do an introduction.
when does the introduction have to be?
That is March the 20th, typically is the extended deadline of the.
Yeah, so we'll do it the second meeting in March.
We should be good in March.
Makes sense.
So Mr. Manning, let me ask you a question, because we have a certain amount of money in here for your salary.
Right.
You're going to be retiring mid-year. We have no idea,
What? No.
we have no idea what the new person's going to be making.
No.
So how would we need to figure out some flexibility in that line, in that department.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I'm not sure what the number is, but,
Okay.
okay.
Got that as a note.
Anything else?
I know, sure.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes, we should.
Oh, we have to, is there anyone who would like to address the township committee? We got no other questions, right?
No questions? Sonia?
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thought the question came